The day of my injuries, I went to work. It was like any other day, and I was electrocuted. I lifted up a scaffold tube and touched a power line, and yeah, I was electrocuted. Since then, obviously, my life's turned upside down, and I think there's more that needs to be done on sites to stop anything like this happening again.
Steve was a scaffolder as part of a team that was contracted to erect a scaffold that it transpired to be a very high voltage overhead main source of electricity. The scaffold was ultimately erected far too close to the overhead electricity cables, and it was almost inevitable that using metal scaffold tubes that an accident was going to happen. Steve was unfortunate enough to make contact with an incredibly high voltage power source, which caused him to sustain serious and life-changing injury. I was first instructed by Steve in January 2022, and reading the initial notes that had been provided to me, I was immediately struck by how on earth is this chap still alive. He had been exposed to a severe amount of voltage that most people wouldn't survive, not least he'd also been thrown a considerable height from the scaffold. Speaking with Steve, it struck me instantly that this was life-changing for him, and it was going to take a long journey and a significant amount of expertise to rebuild his life and take care of him and secure him for the future.
That's one of the hardest things that I think I've ever been through in my life. Not only the injuries, but the time that you're away from your family. You know, it's mentally draining, and not only that, you've still got your injuries to deal with.
This is a really important case because this accident in particular, the Health and Safety Executive have very clear and robust guidance on erecting scaffold and working at height near seriously high voltage overhead cables. Even with such guidance in place, this accident was still able to happen, and a number of accidents like it. So clearly there is something that isn't quite right, and something that needs to be done to effect change and stop other people being seriously injured and having their lives changed as Steve did. It's therefore incredibly important to challenge what goes on these building sites, whether that be through legal action or otherwise, and with the assistance of the Health and Safety Executive to highlight in a public forum the failings and ensure that either the law is changed or practices are changed on construction sites to help implement the best practices and ensure accidents like this don't happen again.
Construction bosses in general need to be more vigilant and more aware of the dangers on sites. I think being more vigilant, being more aware of the risks on site, you know, not looking to cut corners, as small as them corners may be, it's not worth putting someone in this.
Often construction workers think that lawyers are people wearing suits and sit behind a desk and don't understand construction and aren't therefore best placed to navigate the issues and help give them advice, but this is what we do. We deal with a number of construction cases, represent numerous construction workers in all types of accidents, so we do understand the construction industry and the issues that this presents. The thing I would say, it's very important to look after yourself after sustaining a serious injury. You're going to be under immense financial pressure because you've probably lost your job and unable to work. You may find yourself needing to explore the benefits system and the welfare state and not knowing how to navigate that. You'll need rehabilitation, whether that be physiotherapy or otherwise. There'll be lots of considerations needed. All of these things are things that we can help with, and we can help support and take that pressure off of you so you can focus on your recovery, and we can help you start to rebuild your life following serious injury.